Yeah, when Mr. Shettima, Vice President Kashim Shettima, made that very bold statement that President Goodluck Jonathan at some point muted the idea to remove or to suspend him as governor of Borno in the thick of all of this crisis. Anyway, I will condemn Goodluck Jonathan for even attempting that, because that was an overreach. You should never think of a president doing that. But I will also applaud Goodluck Jonathan that at least he surrounded himself with people that don't have Ayitophelic counsel. Not like some leaders that surround themselves with Ayitophelic counsel. And I want to pay tribute to Mr. Doke. Stellar man. Congratulations on your book review. I'm sorry I couldn't be there because of many endeavors. But for you to give President Jonathan that counsel and for him to listen, it shows leadership. Because the same Mr. Shettima that is speaking, in this same his government, an aberration was committed. There was nobody that could give President Tinubu the counsel that you do not go ahead and suspend an elected governor. Only to think that the frivolousness for suspending Governor Fubara was shocking. Now we use state of emergency to settle political scores in states. We now put the veneer of the state was under security threats. So the question is, my Egbon, where were you to stand tall? And I'm talking about the Attorney General, which is my very dear Egbon. Where were you to stand tall to President Tinubu to tell him they don't do what he has done? Because from the Jamatis personnel, we've seen how all of them are falling out. We've even seen how some people brag that we wanted to impeach him. Is the president that saved him? So, by the inference of that statement, what it just means is that it was not because of any security concerns. Because Wike himself said it. I want to impeach him. President Tinubu saved him with state of emergency. So, state of emergency is now what they use to settle political scores and save people from being impeached. What an aberration in our nation.
Okay, I was there in 2014, including all the meetings relating to the subject that was raised. I was also there yesterday. Let me put this in context by saying that, one, the circumstances are totally different. In 2014, what we were dealing with ahead of the 2015 general elections was insecurity, widespread insecurity in the Northeast. And Senator Kashim Shettima was governor of Borno State at that time. And then there was this incident of the 276 Chibok girls who were abducted. That became an international issue. And, people giving it all kinds of phraseology. Christian students have been abducted. Borno State was no longer safe for Christians. It was in that context that the government was trying to find solutions. President Jonathan did not on his own take a decision. President Jonathan has this habit of always consulting his legal advisor, the chief law officer of the Federation. At that time, it was Mohammed Bello Adoke. And in the book that Mohammed Bello Adoke SCN has just published, at page 69, he singled out for President Jonathan for praise as a super respecter of the law. And we used to joke in those days, every little thing, my Attorney General, what does the law say? And Adoke will say, well, I'm a constitutional purist. I will only tell you what the Constitution says. We also had in cabinet then, Kabiru Turaki SAN, that Vice President Shettima referred to, who, as he quoted, said, he supported his senior colleague and brother SAN. And then, of course, Honorable Aminu Tambuwa was Speaker of the House of Reps at the time. He was also a lawyer. So it was not as if any decision had been taken. At the end of the day, the emergency that was declared in Borno State was just in a number of local governments where, Boko Haram said they had hoisted their flag and they were going to run a government. But nobody removed the governor of Borno State at that time. You may say, well, President Jonathan, you know, as Adoke has pointed out on page 69 of his book, is a super respecter of the law. Now, two, yesterday, Vice President Shetima did not use the word suspension. He used the word removal. There's a difference between suspension and removal. And truly, the advice that he was quoting, on the basis of which President Jonathan acted, there's nowhere in the Nigerian Constitution that the president of a country is given the powers to remove. The emphasis is remove. There's a difference between remove and suspend. And so that was the point, basically, that he was making, which was, I found it very mischievous and, unfortunate that some commentators on that statement by the vice president have been saying, oh, this shows that he's criticizing his boss, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. No, he did not criticize President Tinubu. In fact, the environment was so jovial and friendly, and this was in the context of he saying, oh, in this hall, we have PDP, we have new PDP, we have the coalition, we have, the leaders of the coalition, and all of that. And everybody burst out into laughter. And then he made this point, just to acknowledge the commitment of the Attorney General of the Federation at that time, Mohammed Bello Adoke, to a purist and correct interpretation of the Constitution. The third point will have to do with what the law says. Section 305 of the Constitution is what talks about declaration of a state of emergency. The declaration of a state of emergency can come from the state level. State level, the state say, oh, we have a crisis in our state, and then we need a state of emergency. Section 305 sub 4. Now, the National Assembly also has a role to play. The president also has a role to play. He approaches the National Assembly for a gazetted proclamation, and all of that process is worked out. Why President Tinubu was criticized in the River State case was because, the democratic structures were suspended, whereas there is no such thing under that Section 305. Because the Section 305 talks about when there is war, what they have in River State is a political crisis. So the circumstances are different. And that's why I always talk that, look, when you look at these subjects, just put them in context. People should not talk out of emotion. If you pay...
This is why I like Rufai. Yes. This is why I like Hussein Rufai. He's always playing straight to the point. Hit the nail at the head. I don't know what I will actually call Dr. Abati. Yes. Because I don't know if he's a political jobber or he's just looking for, I don't know. I don't just understand. Because he cannot actually say things how it is. That's what I've learned about Dr. Abati. He's always rigmaroling, just not to get or to step at anyone's toe, on anyone's toe. Rufai always hits the nail at the head. These two things, they even contradict. Rufai said it. You just came, you understand, because of so thing, party issues and that, and you just put state of emergency on a state, and say the state is under threat. Why there's no threat in the state? Just a political issue, so that he can defect to your party. Thank God that this program yesterday came up and Shetima revealed this truth to the whole Nigeria. Share this video and remember, click on the subscribe button.